Hello everyone, I'm going to be sharing with you a new book called The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Now Enid Blyton is one of my favourite authors and this is one of my favourite books, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It's got several chapters and our first chapter is called How They Found the Magic Wood. There were once 3 children called Joe, Beth and Frannie. All their lives they lived in a town, but now their father had a job in the country, so they were all going to move as soon as they possibly could. "What fun it will be to live in the country," said Joe. "I shall learn all about animals and birds." "And I shall pick as many flowers as I want to," said Beth. "And I shall have a garden of my own," said Frannie. When the day came for the move, all the children were excited. A small van came to their door, and 2 men helped their father and mother to pile everything into it. When it was full, the van drove away, and the children put on their coats and hats to go with their mother to catch the train to the station. "Now we're off," cried Joe. The country," sang Beth. "We might see fairies there," said Frannie. The train whistled and chuffed out of the station. The children pressed their noses to the window and watched the dirty houses and chimneys race by. How they hated the town! How lovely it would be to be in the clean country air, with flowers growing everywhere and birds singing in the hedges. "We might have adventures in the country," said Joe. "There will be streams and hillsides, big fields, dark woods. Oh, it will be lovely." "You won't be having any more adventures in the country than you will have in the town," said their dad. "I dare say you'll find it all very dull." But that's where he was quite wrong. My goodness, the things that happened to those children. They arrived at last at the tiny station where they got out. A sleepy-looking porter put their 2 bags on the trolley, said they would bring them along later, and off they all went down the winding country lane, chatting loudly. "I wonder if we've got a garden?" asked Frannie. But before they reached their new home, they were tired out and could not bother to say a word more to each other. Their cottage was 5 miles from the station, and as the children's father couldn't afford to do anything but walk there, it seemed a very long way indeed. There was no bus to take them, so the tired children dragged their feet along, wishing for a glass of warm milk and a cosy bed. At long last they got there, and dear me, it was worth all the walk, for the cottage was sweet. Roses hung from the walls, red and white and pink, and honeysuckles all round the front door. It was lovely. The van was at the door, and the 2 men were moving all the furniture into the little house. Father helped, whilst Mother went to light the kitchen stove to make them all a hot drink. They were so tired that they could do nothing but drink hot milk, eat some toast, and tumble into their roughly made beds. Joe looked out of the window, but he was too sleepy to see properly. In 1 minute the 2 girls in their small room were asleep, and Joe too, in his even tinier room. What fun it was to wake up in the morning and see the sun shining in strange windows. Didn't take Joe, Beth and Frannie long to dress. Then they were out in the little garden, running round with grass that had grown so long and smelling all the roses that grew around. Mother had cooked eggs for them, and they ate their breakfast really hungry. "It's lovely to be in the country," said Joe, looking out of the window to the faraway hills. "We can grow vegetables in the garden," said Beth. "There'll be glorious walks all around," said Frannie. That day everyone helped to get the little house straight and tidy. Father was going to work the next day. Mother hoped that there would be someone to give her washing to do. Then she would make enough money to buy a few hens. That would be lovely. "I shall collect the eggs each morning and evening," said Frannie. "Let's go and see what the country round here is about," said Joe. "Can you spare us an hour, Mum?" "Yes, run along," said Mother. Off the 3 children went out of their tiny white front gate and into the lane. They all explored all around them. They ran across the field where the pink clover was full of bees. They paddled in the small brown stream that chattered away to itself under the willow trees in the sunshine. And then they suddenly came to the wood. It was not far from the cottage. At the back it looked quite an ordinary wood, except that the trees were darker green than usual. A narrow ditch separated the wood from the overgrown lane. "A wood!" said Beth in delight. "We shall be able to have picnics here." "It's rather a mysterious sort of wood," said Joe thoughtfully. "Don't you think so, Beth?" "Well, the trees are rather thick, but they do seem about the same as any other tree," said Beth. "They don't quite," said Frannie. "The noise the leaves make is different. Listen." They listened. Frannie was right. There you are. In the wood, the leaves didn't rustle in quite the same way as other trees nearly did. "It's almost as if they're really talking to one another," said Beth. "Whispering secrets, real secrets, that we just can't understand." "It's a magic wood," says Frannie suddenly. Nobody said anything. They stood and listened. "Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh," said the trees in the wood, and bent towards one another in a friendly way. There might be fairy folk in there, said Beth. Shall we jump over the dish and go in? No, said Joe. We might get lost. Excuse me. Let's find our way around before we go into the big woods like this. Joe, Beth, Frannie, suddenly came their mum's voice from the cottage not far away. It's time for lunch. Come on. The children felt hungry all at once. They forgot the strange wood and ran back to their new home. Mother had new bread and strawberry jam for them. They ate a whole loaf between them. Father came in as they were finishing. He'd been shopping for Mother in the village 3 miles away, and he was hungry and tired. We've been exploring everywhere, Father said, Beth pouring him a cup of tea. We found a lovely wood, said Joe. The trees really seem to be talking to one another, Father. Oh, that must be the wood I heard about this afternoon, said Father. It has a strange name, children. What's it called? Asked Joe. It's called the Enchanted Wood, said the father. People don't go there if they can help it. It's funny to hear things like this nowadays. I don't expect there is really anything strange about the wood, but just be careful not to go too far into it in case you do get lost. The children looked in excitement at one another. The Enchanted Wood? What a lovely name! And each child secretly thought the same thought. I shall go and explore the Enchanted Wood as soon as I ever can. The father set them down to work in the afternoon, looking at the overgrown garden. Once they'd finished their meal, Joe had to pull up all the tough thistles, and the 2 girls had to weed the untidy vegetable bed. They spoke to one another in joyful voices. Enchanted Wood! We knew there was something magical about it. I guess there were fairies there, said Frannie. We'll do some exploring as soon as we can, said Beth. We'll find out what those whispering trees are saying. We'll know all the secrets of the wood before many weeks have passed. And that night, at bedtime, all 3 of them stood at the window looking out on the dark, whispering wood behind the cottage. What would they find in the Enchanted Wood? We'll find out next time.